Here's some cold hard facts or universal truths that I've learned over the years. Your employer is not going to make you rich. Working alone will not give you financial freedom or independence. I want you to never forget that job, J-O-B, and stands for just over broke. And most jobs ultimately just pay you enough to keep you from quitting. Many of us spend exactly what we have. So I want you to stay with me and I'll show you how precious metals help me and how they can potentially help you pave your way to financial freedom and wealth. Let's talk about how gold and silver can help you get your financial life in order. Americans have a deep-seated desire to consume and even overconsume at times. Our whole economy is built around spending and consuming, and ultimately, we don't even reward people that save. A recent study found that 39% of Americans could afford a $1,000 emergency. The rest of the people that responded indicated that they would have to leverage themselves in some way to pay the $1,000 expense. 38% said they would have to borrow the money. 18% said they would have to charge it on a credit card. 12% said they would have to borrow it from friends and family. And 8% would have to take out a personal loan. And so the question really becomes, how do we break this cycle? If we know that our employers just pay us enough to not quit and job keeps us just over broke, well, let me share 10 things with you that I think are important. And these are just my steps. I think the first thing is you got to break the cycle. You got to stop digging. You start exactly where you are. If you find yourself in a hole, the first thing you do is stop digging and start being intentional about the decisions you make around money and what's most important to you. We have to challenge ourselves sometimes and ask ourselves, do I want to look or pretend that I'm rich or actually be rich? Do you want to have things or do you want to have wealth? Which leads to this second step, which is undoubtedly a little more controversial. Dave Ramsey and many other financial gurus out there will tell you that you need to be debt-free before you start investing. And it's 100% logical and makes sense. Investing when you have debt costing you 20+% in interest, it just doesn't make sense. So let me be 100% clear. This is absolutely the correct advice if your decision is based solely on numbers and logic. So here comes the controversy. We as people can defy logic. Under the right circumstances, we can do incredible things. Here's what I know firsthand. Getting out of debt takes a lot of work and is not very motivating. At the same time, buying precious metals transformed my life and my mindset. Investing in precious metals has the ability to make you focus in ways that no other investment can do. Especially when you buy silver. All of a sudden, you look at your spending a little differently. You start to equate spending with an ounce of silver. All of a sudden, that $40 DoorDash dinner is equated to an ounce of silver. And you start to go, would I rather have that dinner delivered or rather have another ounce of silver? See, as stackers, acquiring as many ounces as possible is a motivator. And it completely motivated me to change my whole financial outlook. In one of my future videos, I'm going to share how my desire to purchase more metals helped me trim more than $500 from my monthly budget. Paying off debt has never done that for me. So I don't mean to be totally contrarian here, but I know what worked for me many, many years ago. So let's leave it with this. You have to decide which path you choose. All that matters to me is that your desire to attain precious metals is motivating your decision making. The fourth step is really about changing your mindset. It starts with understanding that one of the keys to life is not how much you make, but how much you spend. And I remember I was 16 years old when a very wealthy mentor of mine told me that. And I lived it out back in 1997 when I got my first job out of college. And I made $16,000 a year, right? 1997, okay? But the company that I worked for covered my housing, meals, my utilities, and all my other day-to-day expenses. And so that $16,000 salary was actually pretty nice. Just don't ask me where all that money went. The key here in life is to understand that it's your expenses that make all the difference in the world. And so in order to get your financial life in better shape, we got to figure out how to trim those expenses as best we can. Developing a financial statement that guides you so that you can take inventory of where you are and truly see your expenses and look for opportunities that you can free up some additional money that can go towards more precious metals or go towards paying off your debt. Number 7, never forget that all you need is $1 and a dream. Let those dreams or those goals that you have, make those goals be a driver for how you decide to live and spend your money. Let it drive how you develop a budget that you can stick to, and a budget where you even cut, and sometimes cut in places that might hurt a little. The 8th step is if you are carrying any debt, you got to power pay that off. There are lots of examples of that. All you have to do is go out and Google it, and you can see all kinds of systems. But Dave Ramsey and all those other gurus are right. You do have to get yourself out of debt. The 9th step is protecting yourself from yourself. I know that sounds a little weird, but protecting yourself from yourself is about first investing in yourself because you have more time than you have money. So invest your time to be a better investor, to be smarter, how you make your decisions. The other piece of protecting yourself from yourself is automating your savings and payments as much as you can. I want you to think about whatever your budget is for metals, taking that money and putting it into a different bank account so that it's just a little bit more effort to not spend it on something else that's come up. And it's rewarding because then you get to see how much money you're saving, and then you get the reward of going to spend it and trading that fiat currency for precious metals. And then the last thing is get yourself a 30% raise by reducing your taxes. One of the ways to make more money is to think about starting a side hustle, a business, something that might even help you get some extra money. It may be collecting cans. It may be doing Uber on the weekends. It may be taking surveys online. But use your desire to have more precious metals to drive you to figure out ways to increase your income to give you a greater opportunity to buy more. But remember, it started with reducing your expenses. So no matter what, financial freedom and true wealth comes from putting your financial house in order. If you can remember and remind yourself that capitalism, the concept that our country is fundamentally built upon, ultimately comes down to 2 things. 1, who do you owe? And 2, who owes you? And that ratio dramatically impacts the quality of your life, not only for you, but also for your family. So the question is going to be, do you leave your family with bills or true wealth? Because we know your employer is not going to make you rich, because job stands for just over broke. Therefore, it's your responsibility to think of your financial life like a business. And the better you run your financial life as a business, the greater freedom you will experience. I believe once you delve into precious metals, your desire to stack will help you get your financial life in order, like it did for me. Please share some comments. Think about sharing how precious metals have helped you get your financial life in order, or talk about one of the steps where you might need to work on. And while I'm asking you to do things, could you please hit the like button and subscribe to Stackers University?